Welcome, everyone. We're diving into some fiery geopolitics today. Scott Horton's take on debunking the narratives around Israel, Trump, and those so called Iranian nuclear claims. It's a tangled web.
Indeed. Absolutely. There's so much at play here: political spin, misinformation, and a lot of pressure building up around international relations.
Right, so Horton's work has been ripping apart the exaggerations, like when Trump throws around that idea about Iran having nukes and then tying in Israel's influence on the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And he doesn't pull any punches. It's like he's peeling back the layers of political propaganda. I mean, how do you even begin to debunk such deep rooted narratives?
It's like a classic case of misinformation spiraling faster than you can say nuke. Horton points out that the narrative is not just nationalist rhetoric, but a carefully crafted story meant to push political agendas.
Right, exactly. When you listen closely, you really sense that he challenges the logic behind these explosive claims. And I mean, come on. Using nuclear rhetoric to sway public opinion is seriously dangerous.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, hold up, let's get real about the actual facts. And then you see how Trump and some of those Israeli narratives overlap in ways that seem too convenient for triggering conflict.
That's spot on. And part of his approach is to break down the layers of truth and distortion in these claims, right? He examines past statements, political alliances, and even hints at the role of media in amplifying these ideas.
Exactly. There's that whole it's like a house of cards built on half-truths. Horton, through careful research, lays out how each of these narratives might be fueling political agendas rather than reflecting reality.
Yes, indeed. But I do wonder, can one person really dismantle all the layers of these highly charged geopolitical arguments? It seems like such a Herculean task given the entrenched power of these narratives.
I get what you're saying. There's a risk of oversimplification, but Horton's method is more than just regurgitating counterpoints. He's using detailed research and highlighting inconsistencies, like the discord between historical facts and current claims.
That's a fair point. It's refreshing though, because, while a lot of pundits may rely on emotional rhetoric, Horton goes in with documented evidence. That alone distinguishes his approach, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And think about the broader implications. If we accept these bombastic narratives without critique, it sets a dangerous precedence for international policy decisions.
Right, yeah. Exactly. Because these kinds of narratives can escalate tensions unnecessarily. It's like using a magnifying glass to start a fire. Sounds dramatic, but it's more about fueling the flames of distrust.
That's a good analogy. It's fascinating how Horton dissects the rhetoric, showing the strategic motives behind statements, like stirring up a crisis before having real evidence, which can later justify aggressive actions.
It's quite intriguing. Now, here's where I get a bit skeptical. Some critics might argue that by focusing so intensely on debunking these false claims, he could be diverting attention from issues that need addressing more broadly, like actual nuclear proliferation controls. What do you think?
I hear you, but let's consider that debunking falsehoods is itself a crucial step. If policymakers are operating on shaky premises, then robust debate anchored in evidence is necessary. It's like cleaning the mirror before you even begin to fix the car, making sure we see things clearly.
Right, I get that. Yes, but isn't there a risk of creating echo chambers where only certain viewpoints are heard and critiqued? I mean, how do we ensure balanced debate in such charged topics?
Fair question. The key is to remain open to credible sources from all sides while subjecting them to rigorous scrutiny. Horton's approach isn't about dismissing any argument automatically. It's about asking hard questions, challenging assumptions.
Exactly. And that brings us to another point: media influence. His video, released on a channel like Breaking Points, shows that even YouTube platforms, with millions of viewers, play a role in shaping public opinion with such debunking narratives.
Exactly. And it's really interesting because the video itself, with its view counts, like the 55,680 views in just a few hours, indicates that there is a solid audience hungry for analysis beyond the mainstream scripted positions.
Yeah, that's telling, right? And it also highlights how these platforms are influencing political discourse in real time. It's almost like a modern-day town square where ideas are debated, but with a twist. There's a digital amplification that can magnify both truth and falsehood.
Absolutely. And Scott Horton's method here is a reminder that we need both accountability and nuance in political discourse. His debunking isn't merely about contradicting narratives, it's about uncovering a layered backstory that implicates power dynamics.
Certainly. But then again, there's a danger if even well-intentioned debunking turns into part of a politicized media battle where every statement becomes suspect. How do we navigate that, you think?
That's a real challenge. I think it's about fostering critical thinking in the audience, providing them with the tools to evaluate claims independently. Horton's emphasis is on evidence over dramatic narrative, and that's something we need to cultivate more broadly.
Yeah, for sure. Totally. And this also brings to light how these narratives about nuclear threats can be weaponized not just in rhetoric but in policy decisions, potentially putting millions at risk.
Right, and it's alarming when you consider the stakes. The way false narratives can justify escalatory measures in regions already on a knife edge is deeply concerning. Horton's work shows that debunking isn't just academic, it's vital for peace and stability.
Absolutely. I also appreciate that Horton, by linking Trump's statements with actions by Israel, is holding a mirror up to how intertwined political interests can be, even when the public narrative seems disjointed.
Yeah, it's like he's unraveling the threads of a larger tapestry, each thread representing a piece of political maneuvering that, when examined, just don't add up to the picture they want us to see.
Exactly, yeah. And hearing this analysis, it makes one wonder if the real enemy isn't a country at all, but rather a systematic spread of intentional misinformation that can, over time, degrade democratic processes.
Right, that's precisely the risk. We need to be vigilant about the media we consume, and analyses like Horton's help remind us to question and verify before forming opinions. It's like cleaning your glasses periodically so you can see the true picture.
That's a great analogy. Exactly. And the conversation doesn't stop with debunking. It's a call for a more discerning public that can sift through the layers of spin to find the actual facts, however complex they might be.
Yes, and while it may seem overwhelming, every bit of scrutiny helps. The more we foster questionable thinking in a balanced way, the less effective these manipulative narratives become. It's like exercising a muscle. Over time, you grow stronger and more resilient to the pressures around you.
Right on. And speaking of resilience, one thing that stands out is the testament to independent media. Platforms like Breaking Points, despite some glitches and technical snafus noted in the video's description, are delivering content that encourages critical inquiry in a time when it's sorely needed.
Absolutely. Those slight quirks in the video details hardly detract from the core message. They serve as a backdrop to an intensely important conversation on how truth is manufactured and maintained.
Yeah, exactly. All in all, Scott Horton's debunking isn't just about pointing fingers. It's a reminder of our responsibility to scrutinize narratives, especially when they risk turning international policy into a game of theatrics.
Correct. The stakes are monumental when misinformation can potentially trigger conflicts on a global scale. And by stepping back and critically analyzing the claims, we begin to dismantle a culture of hyperbole that can be, extremely dangerous.
Couldn't agree more. It certainly makes you reflect on the power of words and how, in the hands of the right or wrong person, they can shape strategies that affect countless lives.
Precisely. And that's why discussions like these matter. They remind us to stay sharp, always ask questions, and push back against oversimplified narratives in geopolitics.
Absolutely, yeah. And in the end, while the landscape of international politics may seem chaotic, it's vital for voices like Horton's to emerge and challenge the status quo. It keeps us informed, engaged, and hopefully steering towards a more transparent dialogue.
Exactly. And that's our cue as well, to continuously seek the truth, no matter how convoluted the story might get. It all comes down to critical thinking and, well, sometimes a healthy dose of skepticism.
That's the key. Well said. This conversation has been an eye-opener on just how pivotal it is to dissect political narratives And it reminds us that every debunked falsehood adds a brick in building a more honest public discourse.
Indeed. And as we wrap up, let's keep in mind that it's our collective responsibility to question and understand the underlying motives behind such claims. Only then can we ensure a future less clouded by fear and misinformation.
Exactly, absolutely. Thanks for this engaging discussion. It really helps shine a light on the complexities of today's political narratives. Until next time, keep questioning and stay curious.
Yes, thanks for the insightful chat. Let's all continue to dig deeper and fight misinformation with evidence and thoughtfulness. Catch you later.
Yeah, see you next time.